It's 12 noon in the East, 9 a.m. Pacific time. You could be anywhere, but you've chosen to be right here with Meridith, Elliott, Powell, and myself, Mark Hunter. Meridith, how you doing?
I am good. I am good today. You know, I was just thinking this morning, it is hard to believe it is August. I mean, time is moving so fast, even though we're living in the age of COVID.
You know, it must be really moving fast for you because I still got July 28th on my calendar. So I don't know what you got on yours. So.
Well, July 28th, I've already started tracking my numbers for August.
Oh, I see. So that means you gave up on the month of July. So
yeah, pretty much have moved into into August. But you got a lot of good things going on?
I do have a lot of good things. Have a lot of new online stuff that's going to be I can't reveal the secrets, but it'll start coming out this next week. A thing called a weekly. Yeah, well, a thing called Weekly Sales Kickoff and a thing called Mornings with Mark. That sounds weird, doesn't it? But anyway, yeah. No, but what is new? What? Tuesdays with Maury. Yeah, Tuesdays with Maury didn't quite work out so well for Maury. So I'm kind of hoping Mornings with Mark works out a little better. So just saying. So anyway, what's new on your end?
Let's see. I've got a couple of consulting jobs that have started. Some really good programming. My newest thing, though, is I'm really wrapped up in my new book. I'm smack in the editing phases of that, and I'm going to launch a new brand and everything with it too. I was just, it's funny. I was talking with some of our colleagues this week, and it's I've become a little obsessed with this word uncertainty, and it's fascinating to me how some people are really kind of jazzed up right now, and some people are really laying low. And I think that would be a good topic for a show sometime. What are the I just talked to somebody who was telling me that pretty famous people in our industry, one in particular, is putting a pause on their business, and I think that's an interesting approach. But I know it's not the topic for today, so.
No, it's not the topic for today, and I think that's the wrong. I mean, hey, I'm sorry, but this is the state we live in, and you got to learn to adapt to it and roll with it, or it's just going to blow past you. Nobody knew where we'd be where we are today 6 months from now. So relax, people. Rock on. Seize the moment. Rahm Emanuel, when he was chief of staff for Obama, had the great line. He said, a crisis is a terrible thing to waste. And you know what? We're in a bit of a crisis, but it's a terrible thing to waste. I'm going to make the most of it. So that's one of the reasons we're doing the show, right?
Yeah, exactly. This show is basically for sales professionals or anybody who's in a position where you've got to sell. And how I kind of think about it now is I really do think we are essential workers. I think we matter more than we've ever been. And I think this is less about you, your job, and your business than it was before COVID hit. I pretty passionately believe that people need us right now. The customers we serve, the prospects we're calling on, really have challenges, and they have problems that they need solved. And that's what's going to keep the economy going. So I think now more than ever, it's a time for us to put our foot on the gas and think less about ourselves and more about what those people we serve need.
I think you're right. There's more opportunities for conversations and discussions right now than ever before. We have to be seen as our customers' R&D, research and development department. Because really, we are essential. We're the ones keeping customers open. Oh yeah.
Yeah, right. We have to help them understand that we can solve those problems.
We do. We should mosey on down the road because we got a big show planned. We got great question, got a great topic, got a great lightning round, and we both have places to go, people to meet, things to do this afternoon. So you know what? We should get going with the show. So Micah, take it away. Roll it.
When we prospect with integrity, we will get customers who have integrity. Integrity is the foundation from which everything is built on.
you better understand value. But at the end of the day, sales is a relationship business. It is a people business. It is an emotional business.
Who has made a prospecting call today?
This is Sales Logic.
Most people refer to VanillaSoft as the solution. It's the solution to ensure sales reps make the right number of attempts for every lead across all channels, including email, social, and the phone. It's the solution to serve the rep the next best lead every single time. You need to get your solution at VanillaSoft.com.
All right, Mark. So here we go. It is time for another great show and another great kickoff. So welcome to Sales Logic, the show where we dive into the strategies, we discover the tactics, everything that you need to know to well sell logically. I'm Meridith Elliott Powell, and I'm here with my co-host,
Mark Hunter, the Sales Hunter. Great to see you today. Looking forward to a fantastic show. What's on tap?
Well, we are going to talk about prospecting today. We've got some really good topics to discover, but the way that the show works for many of you who are joining us again, you know that in every single show, we do three things. Number one, we cover a topic. Number two, we answer a listener question. That's right. This show is really about you. So if you have
Most people refer to VanillaSoft as the
solution.
solution. It's the solution to ensure sales reps make the right.
Anything that you want us to discuss. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, we just want to get a little extra word in there from our sponsor, right? Because we do love VanillaSoft.
We do love VanillaSoft. They are a great sponsor and an unbelievable product. But I was talking about our question, and our question is, if you have a question, anything that you need, go ahead and send us that question at our website, saleslogicpodcast.com. Again, saleslogicpodcast.com, or just put it out there on social media and hashtag SalesLogic. And make sure you stay till the end of the show, because we're going to give you a lightning round. So, Mark, with that, what do you say that I'll tell you what the topic is going to be for the day. And that's prospecting in the age of COVID. How important is prospecting and how has it changed? But before we dive into that, let's kick off with our listener question. And it is from listener Ned Coville. How do I build a strong follow-up list? Most specifically, where do I find the right prospects? Now, Mark, I want you to kick this off because I get asked this question a lot. And he really put right in quotations, the right prospects.
Well, you start off by going to your existing customers. First of all, look at who they are. Who are your existing customers? Why were you able to help them? What did they achieve from buying from you? That's the profile. You need to really create a prospecting persona, the persona of the person who you want to reach. That's where you start. But here's what I find. If you are creating value for your existing customers, why don't you go out and contact each of your existing customers and get a referral from them? Well, guess what? That's going to wind up giving you an additional pool of people that you can put into your prospecting list. But I don't want to answer the whole. I know you got some ideas because you run down this path a lot. So jump in.
Well, I'm going to dovetail a little bit with what you said, because I think the most important word in that question is right prospect. And where I see people derail on prospecting is they've not thoroughly done a good job of understanding who's right for them. An industry does not a prospect list make. A geographic region does not a prospect list make. You need to understand your type. And so really, Mark, what you were talking about, taking those top 10 customers. I always tell my clients, take your top 10 customers. Top 10 customers are people that bring a smile to your face. If you thought that you were going to have to give them a call today, you'd be excited about it. They want to hear from you. they buy from you, they don't quibble about price, and they take your advice. Then really start to look at that list of 10 and you'll start to see themes. Certainly you'll see the industry, the geographic location, but it'll be more than that. You'll see the type of person they are. Maybe they're in an age range. Maybe they're family oriented. Maybe they're the type of people that, like sports, or they're more into the arts. And the more you intimately understand them, you can start to mirror them. And when you mirror them, that's going to land you in the right position. You don't need a massive prospect list, but you need a right prospect list.
So key on that, because so many times what people do is they want to create as big of a prospecting list, and therefore they don't want to define who their perfect prospect is. I say you get a better prospecting list by the tighter, the more qualifications you have for that prospect to be able to fit into your list. Because here's what my goal is. I don't want to have 1,000 prospects. I want to have 10 prospects that I can spend more time with. The more time I spend with my prospects, my best prospects, the better the value I'll create for them, the bigger the solution I'll be able to help them with. And guess what? The better off they will be, and the better off I will be.
Yeah, I call that niching to expand. And I think that Amazon and Zappos really paved the way for us with this. When Amazon first started out, it's hard to imagine, but they were not targeting people like me, and they understood that. They were going after the person who thought that buying books online sounded like a good idea. And that was not me. If you would have asked me 20 years ago, I would have told you we'd be buying books at our local bookstore forever. But they understood who their prospect was, and they wrote content, they sold to, and they convinced that prospect to buy from Amazon. Then that prospect sold the rest of us. So the better that you understand that avatar, and don't be afraid to focus small. I am going to add one controversial thing, though. I get a lot of pushback from my clients on this, is that I think once you understand your perfect customer, you really need to think about your customers' competitors. And a lot of people say, well, I would never do that to my customers. Well, if your customers are not paying you for an exclusive, that you're exclusively going to work for them, then I think you need to consider their competitors. Maybe not.
See, and I'm gonna run with that for a second here, because I'm gonna challenge this, and I'm gonna say I don't want to mirror my competitor. If my competitor is going yin, I'm going yang, and when I go yang, that allows me to have a competitive difference versus my competitor. And when I get to that point, it's amazing how much more successful I'll be, because now my customers see me in a different light. Hey, with that though, we should probably jump over to the topic. And the topic is prospecting in the age of COVID. How important is it to prospect? And how has it changed? We were talking a little bit about this in the pre-show, but let's really unpack this, because we're in the age of COVID. It's not going away tomorrow. I don't know, unless you know something I don't know. So how important is it to prospect? How has it changed? Jump in.
It's interesting. I was listening to the news earlier this morning, and they were talking about the fact that things are starting to go virtual into 2021 now. So I definitely think this is with us for a while. But I think a lot has changed. And one of the very first things that when I'm working with clients that I talk about is your prospects, your first set of prospects in the age of COVID need to be your existing customers. And the reason is that, number one, they need to hear from you. They need to know that you're out there. Number two is they're prospects again, because their problems, their challenges, and their issues have changed since before COVID. You may think that these people have been your customers forever and you've taken a great care with them, and maybe you have. But now all of a sudden, when the circumstances change, so do their challenges and so do their opportunities. And I call it securing your base. Before you move on to prospects, back up, look at your existing customers, and focus your time and attention there.
I'll add to that, though, don't become so consumed with your existing customers that you don't look past. I talk about in my book, A Mind for Sales, CLT, or CFT, customer facing time. And how much time am I spending with my customers? And it can be easy that we become so fixated on our existing customers that we don't look beyond. You got to make sure that you're also allocating time to be going out and prospecting new customers. Because in this age of COVID, you don't know when some of your existing customers, maybe they're all kind of in the same industry, when that industry could all of a sudden face difficult times. I got to make sure I've got a diversified customer base, which brings up a very interesting piece that I challenge every salesperson right now. More than ever, you need to make sure that you have a diversified customer base. We get into trouble when we allow our business to be reliant upon only 2 or 3 or 4 customers. You've always got to be bringing new customers in. And one of the ways that I suggest you do this is you got to pick up the telephone. I'll tell you what, I am really, it's amazing how many people are actually saying how well the telephone's working. Well, gee, you know what? Yeah. It never went away. But people want to have a conversation more than ever right now. So those are just a couple of things that I see, but I know you see a lot of other things too. So jump in.
Well, I love this idea of diversifying your base. I mean, if you're going to take anything from COVID and the uncertain marketplaces, that being diversified is always the safest bet. The other way that it has changed is that again, I really want to underline the fact that whatever techniques you were using to engage prospects, those techniques have changed because your prospects challenges, issues, and opportunities. So I think you have to be even more relevant in today's marketplace. I mean, one good thing that a good economy gets us is that we can skate a little, we can rest a little on our laurels. But in an uncertain marketplace, in a challenging time, your prospects are looking for people that have the answers. So you've got to focus time and energy on building your reputation in the marketplace. Number one, do you understand the issues and challenges that your prospects are having? And then what are you doing to get the content out there that they see you as the expert in that? You know, it's time to be writing blogs, to be shooting videos, to be a guest on a podcast. And when you're making those prospecting calls, you know, don't make them about you getting an appointment. Make them about you adding value first. Again, a technique that was always important, but it's really, really hypercritical in the age of COVID. People are stressed. They have less time than they've had. So if they're going to give you a time, and I've always felt that a sales call is a gift. It's a gift that a prospect gives to us, and we should not waste their time. And but you have to be giving them that gift before they ever grant you the opportunity of a sales call, and that comes in relevant information.
Your reputation really does arrive before you. And this is why I'm glad you brought that up in terms of what's out there about you. What are you saying about you, and what are others saying about you? Because your reputation arrives before you. Here's a couple of other things that I've seen. Speed matters more than ever. Speed sells. Now, what do we mean by speed sells? Speed of decisions, because if we look over the last 120 days, we've seen so many economic variables go way up and come way down. What does this mean? We've got to make it easy for our customers to buy from us by making it fast. One of the things that I say, that I tell salespeople, I was on a call this morning with some salespeople. I said, when you're doing a prospecting call and you're setting up that next meeting, don't sit there and say, well, what's your calendar look like for next week? What's your calendar look like this afternoon? Get the meeting set up for this afternoon, tomorrow. You have to make it expedient for a couple of reasons. Things change. There are so many variables that are changing in the marketplace that you can't allow any moss to grow under your feet. And the other thing is, make it simple for your customers. We're all seeing situations where when it's a complex buy, when it's a complex decision, a lot of people get involved. In this age of working from home and virtual, decisions happen slowly. So what you want to do is you want to make your sale as easy as possible for the person you're speaking to make the decision. Get in, become a vendor. Oh, I hate using that term, vendor. But get in with them, and then so you've landed, and then you can expand. The age of selling in this world has changed because we are truly the solution provider, helping our customers see and achieve what they didn't think was possible.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, the biggest the biggest challenges that people have right now is they need to be more efficient. They need to make sure that their business is going to be here. They need to be doing things that drive the bottom line, and you need to be able to tie what your products and services are doing to be able to do that. I think the moment that we enter an age like COVID this is really selling. I mean, a lot of times in a good economy, it's truly order taking, but when it comes to prospecting, if you're talking with a customer who clearly doesn't want to buy your product or service, it's interesting. A friend of ours, Sam Richter, and I were talking with a prospect the other day, and we weren't 10 minutes into the conversation where it was just clear the amount of excuses that the prospect was throwing that this wasn't a good avenue for us to go down. We just ended the call and moved on, because the moment you say yes to one prospect, you're saying no to 10 others. And recognize it's, you definitely got to convince people and help them understand the value that you're bringing to the table. But sometimes a prospect just isn't there. And the pie is really big. And sometimes you need to move on. So sell from a place of power and prospect from a place of power rather than a place of need.
When you say prospect from a position of power, that certainly is. That's also, though, power not to the point of arrogance, but power to the point that you can bring them information. Because I really think you have to sell with integrity right now. If you cannot sell with integrity right now, you can't be selling because of all the changes, which means you have to be willing to listen to the customer like you've never listened before. Listening is truly an active sport that unfortunately back in the pre-COVID days, salespeople didn't do. We just were too busy taking orders. Boy, we got to be listening. Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah. Well, I want to add on to that listening. I just want to add on there because I think this is important. You not only need to listen, but then you need to use the language back that your prospects are. The only way that we know that we have been heard is that when we hear what we just said. So you've got to be using that language back. And I think you make such a great point that I don't want to lose it, is in times of crisis, and people are hurting, they want to be heard more than anything. I mean, it's one of the most basic needs we have as human beings. And the sales professional who hears their prospect and is able to convey that they've heard is the one that's going to make an emotional connection. You make that emotional connection, you're going to be in the driver's seat.
And one way we hear is by playing back to them and asking them a question on what they shared with you. That's how you make them really feel valuable. You just and the customer will take you to the solution, but you have to ask the questions. And whatever they share with you, you just ask that question that just keeps building on it. So anyway, hey, we should probably start kind of wrapping the show up, but we still got that lightning round that we got to do. And of course, hey, we want people to jump out to saleslogicpodcast.com, leave the question, because that's what we always do, or just hashtag saleslogic out on social media with your question, because we love hearing from our listeners. But we got the lightning round. Let me tee it up and you take off and run with it. We'll go back and forth several times on this lightning round. What are your top prospecting tips? Go.
Number 1, get clear on your avatar. Know who your ideal is.
2, make sure you assign yourself prospecting time every day.
Yeah. Number 3, you need to make a list. Have a list of no more than your top 20 prospects that you're going to consistently work, because it is not going to be one touch that is going to close that deal. It's going to be more than that.
Tip number 4, don't start what you can't finish. Picking up on what you said, if you can't build your way through a 20 call cadence, 20 calls, yes, that may be what it is, using every medium possible. Don't even start prospecting.
Yeah. I like to use a 70-30 prospecting rule. 70% should be adding value. 30% should be asking for an appointment or getting business. So start to build that relationship and invest in them before you ask them to invest in you.
Always stay focused on what are the outcomes you create. You have the outcomes from your best customers. That's what you always want to be zeroing in on with every prospect you speak to.
Clean it at least twice a year. Really go through the prospect list and ask yourself, is this still the best and highest use of my time?
And I'll wrap it up by saying, if you can't believe in how you can help people and the difference you can make, then you know what? You shouldn't be prospecting, and you shouldn't even be in sales. Hey, with that, let's go ahead and kind of wrap up the show by saying thank you for listening to Sales Logic this week. If you like what you hear, subscribe, rate, and review the show on your favorite podcast app. If something we've said has earned you a single dollar, consider telling a friend about our show. It's how we grow to help you grow. I'm Mark Hunter.
And I'm Meridith Elliott Powell.
Remember, when you sell with confidence and integrity,
uncertainty suddenly becomes your competitive advantage.
And the sale becomes logical.
Thanks, Mark. And we'll see you all next week.
Most people
Next week, Sales
VanillaSoft
Logic.
as the solution. It's the solution to ensure sales reps make the right number of attempts for every lead across all channels, including email, social, and the phone. It's the solution to serve the rep the next best lead every single time. You need to get your solution